Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We are here at Detoxified Podcast, part of Detox Your Life movement. It's all umbrella. We have Detoxified Podcast, we have Detox Cafe, and it's all about coming together and healing together and just making sure that we have great conversations about moving forward and living together. So one of our major rules here is, of course, we do not have gender wars. It is all about coming together and learning how to live with each other, how God intended it to be, so we can be healthier instead of this world trying to tear us apart or pin us against each other. So I am your host this evening. My name's Hadasha, and we have our lovely co-host here, Myrna.
Hey, hi everybody. I'm again excited to be here. As usual, today we have an exciting topic, and I'll let Hadasha speak more on that. But once again, yes, we are so excited to be here. And we have with us one of our own. She's actually been with us in the past with prior subject. We have Pastor Kayla Joissaint in the house with us today. Hi, Kayla. How are you doing?
Hey, ladies. I'm well. How are you?
Good. We're so excited to have you again.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited too.
Yes, we are actually really excited because the topic tonight's a little spicy. We are getting into the whole sex coaching thing, and we have a beautiful pastor here that is also learning to be a sex coach, which we don't hear a lot about that. So that is very exciting. And we want Kayla just to give us a bit more in depth about a pastor, which is a sex coach, and how does that work?
Well, first things first, I'm an evangelist, y'all. I don't have a church.
Yeah.
Just in case somebody wanted to get upset and fight me later. And I enjoy preaching and teaching, but I remember being a younger girl in church and noticing how church people were always really antsy and uncomfortable about the subject of sex, but they would always tell the young girls, don't do this, don't get pregnant, don't be too fast, you don't need a boyfriend. There was all these warnings and very scary warnings that they would always give us. But then I remember there was all this hope and push to get married and make him 5 kids. And I'm thinking to myself, how do I make a man 5 kids if I don't even see what he's working with? I don't even know what a male genitalia looks like. What do you do with it? You know what I mean?
You look at it.
I was like, no, there must be a way where we can combine sex and God. Like, why do people always separate it? And I was always interested on why there's a separation between sex and church. And so I was like, no, I must find the median. How do we mix them together? Because they obviously go together. You know, Adam knew his wife and they had kids. And then, you know, so many people in the Bible having kids and multiplying. But what about us? How do we do that? And how do we
Nice. You know, the verse that came to mind for this topic tonight was from Proverbs 5:18-19, which is, rejoice in the wife of your youth, a lovely deer, a graceful doe. Let her breasts fill you at all times with delight. Be intoxicated always in her love. And that verse, I absolutely love it because, you know, I feel like the devil has made sex such a dirty,
such a taboo conversation,
very dirty, very secretive. When it's a joyful, beautiful thing to share between two people that love each other, that are in a committed relationship. But the number one thing, though, is let her breasts fill you at all times. You know, and the number one thing that we see sometimes, even when someone is celibate or abstinent, there now plays a shyness into the bedroom.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have then like the ego as well from the man or the woman's side. So when it comes to shyness and the bedroom, how do you usually deal with that? Or what's the number one thing that you hear that people feel insecure about?
Okay. So I don't have a number one. I'm about 4.
Mercy.
Okay. The four ones that I'm always hearing about. I'm always hearing about frequency. There is one partner who wants to do it every night, 5 times a day, and then the other partner is like, oh, I can do it once a month and be happy. Okay. So frequency. There is sometimes a disconnect between sexual acts. One thinks missionary with the lights off in the bed is the only way to have sex.
Yeah.
And the other person wants to hang from ropes and swings and chandeliers. Yes, chandeliers. They want to try it in the kitchen on the island. They want to try all these different places.
Yeah.
There's an unequal yoke mindset when it comes to where it should be and how comfortable we are. And that kind of also ties in with the comfortability to try new things, I hear a lot that there's body shyness and body shame. Both men and women, it's not just one. There are women who don't feel as sexy after having kids. There are men who maybe they lost weight or gained a lot of weight.
Or they don't have the right package.
But then package is one as well.
Yeah.
They don't feel equipped for the job.
Right.
Especially that's we're gonna get there though. And then having to bounce back after an infidelity situation. How do we continue?
Gosh. That's a different topic on its own, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you this quick question. When you mentioned position, for example, you mentioned missionary. Do you think that the church maybe maybe because of the church view, right? Someone that's been going to church and basically being told all their life, don't do this or don't do that, or don't touch each other's hands, or this big rule about, or even their own rule book of instruction on how Christians should have sex, right? So do you think that it's just given as missionary is the actual way that Christians should actually engage into their sexual activities, or you think that after this it's like anything else outside of that is basically sinful, or you're not going to make it to heaven because now you decided to go a different route, right? And when I say by different route, I mean different positions with the same entrance, right?
Yeah, you might end up in the hospital after.
Correct, right. That's what I mean by that. Before they come for me.
Right? So let me clarify before they come for me too. I don't believe there's right or wrong. Whatever you do and feel comfortable with in your marriage, that still falls in line of being in order with Christ and aligned with our faith. And what doesn't expose or harm your partner, I believe can be deemed as correct.
Okay.
What can be wrong is something that violates somebody else, what shames somebody else, what makes somebody else uncomfortable. There are people who like to role play rapes,
How?
and
I've never heard that one before.
They like that force. They like to be taken by surprise, or they like to take somebody else off guard. They like when they struggle. Those are things that are not in alignment with the Holy Spirit, because rape is not to be glorified. Okay, that's a trauma. So back to positions, though. I believe there are so many other beautiful, beautiful positions out there than just missionary. And not only that, if missionaries are more comfortable with, we can spice up missionary. I can give you 4 different ways to missionary, right now, off the top of my head. So there are more ways to do one thing. We don't just have to do it the traditional way. There's other ways too. And so if anybody was bound by a position, me, in my professional opinion, we would talk about what are the bounds, right? And like you had mentioned, there are people who think traditionally, oh, God, oh, Christ, oh, church has taught me that this is the only way. Well, let's rewrite some of that. Let's dig deep into that. Why is that? Some people have been shamed and guilt tripped into certain things in their sex life. They don't even know why they do it. They just know that they do, right? And I think as women who've experienced Seventh-day Adventism, as an example, nobody come for me, okay?
Right.
But
Careful now.
yeah, we know, personally speaking, the things that can guilt you and trip you. Like, you can't even eat a marshmallow. You better make sure there's no gelatin in it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You can't eat a bacon strip. If you do, you better pray 5 times and hope that God detox your stomach from that piece of pig. Don't even look at crab cakes. All these things that have been shamed and guilted upon you because of somebody else's lack of knowledge or lack of personal relationship with the God that you serve. And God, the awesome thing about God is he has different relationships with all of us.
Yes, I think a lot of us are scared to even invite God within the bedroom.
Right.
I think we're scared just because we're like, ooh, but at the same time, I think you get together. I think God doesn't mind a bit of nasty.
Boy, you've done a whole book.
A bit of fun. There's a whole book.
He just saw songs with Solomon would change your life.
It will
change your life.
Right.
And so, yes, I believe that, having the open mindset and even just being with a partner as well, that you don't shame or that doesn't shame you, and you both can talk about your needs and desires without feeling like somebody's bullying you. It's a beautiful thing. It's much needed.
So I think that one of the things that you just mentioned is extremely important, is having that conversation with whomever. Just the same way I asked for your name, I asked you for your favorite color, I asked you for what do you aspire in life, what are your goals, when you're dating. I actually asked, what is your sexual appetite? Because I feel that we need to be compatible in it. And why? Because just like you mentioned, someone may be okay with once a month and others want it every single day. I might have a difficulty with you telling me once a month, because now there's going to be frustration, anger. I'm going to ask questions like,
right,
like, are you okay? Are you healthy? Or are you seeing somebody? Because I don't think that it's normal that someone that desires you just wants it once a month. I feel like there's a problem somewhere. Or do you have certain addictions? Am I not doing it right for you? Like, what's going on? So, or like you said, what are your fantasies? What is it that would cause you to have as much desire? Or you have those that, they'll tell you, yeah, I could do it 3 times a day. And when you actually get there, right?
Lie.
And there's a lack thereof. And now it's like, hey, wait a minute. You said that. Yeah, you said that I could do it like 5 times a day or 3 times a day. And now you're coming at me with once a month. And the once a month is maybe like 20 minutes. And I'm like, dude, like,
or like the one round and you passed out.
Right. You asked me to cook for you every day. So, I mean, I need to be rewarded, in some type of way. So I feel like conversations are not happening between couples as well, and dating. And I feel also, it's like you said, it's a taboo conversation, because now you want to talk about sex after you gotten married. And I don't want to talk about sex after we've gotten married, because I'm kind of stuck with you, right? And during this time. So I kind of want to... Because now, can I divorce you because now we don't have the same sexual appetite? No. So I feel like it needs to be honest conversation beforehand, so that when I do say I do, I'm actually saying I do to all of the above, right? And so now there's no frustration, and there's no questioning of certain interests that I may have,
right?
Certain fantasies that I may have, because I may have a fantasy that scares the heck out of you, and you're like, I don't go that route.
And sexual traumas too. I mean, I think it's important to know if somebody has a sexual trauma.
But even then, I think with the conversation, that makes a whole lot of difference, because someone can nurture you back, right, to where you're actually comfortable with that.
So y'all are making a lot of good points, and I just want to, in my experience and professional opinion, I want to make sure I can touch on all of them real quick. So the conversation about how you want it, when do you want it, how you like it, those are really important. I told you ladies this before. Me and my husband, before we were husband and wife, that was our first date. That's the conversation. And I praise God that we were able to have that conversation. I said, what are you into? However, let's talk about that. Because if you want to tie me up like rotisserie chicken at the Sam's Club, and I'm really not into bondage, we should have a conversation. You know what I mean? And that was where I'm pointing things to know, like that frequency. How often do you want it? How often do you expect it? And I want to let all of you know, as y'all know, that can change though.
Yeah.
We can make an agreement like, baby, we're going to do this 3 times a week. But all of a sudden, I have kids. Either my sex drive is going higher, or it goes down, you know?
Right.
It's down. And there's a lot of women like that. They're like, well, I used to, girl, I be swinging from the poles, but now my libido.
I'm scared of height.
Then I can't do it. Baby, after those kids I had, I can't do it anymore. Or she is like, after that injury I had, my body's changed and things like that. And I don't want it to just go straight to, oh, something wrong with you cheating on me.
Right.
There's so many other things. I'm like, secondly, y'all mentioned, I want to, in that, I want to highlight the difference between intimacy and sexuality.
Yeah. Right.
Because just because I don't have sex with you doesn't mean I don't love you. Right. And just because it's not 5 days a week does not mean I've stepped out or I don't like you or I don't find you attractive. Now that we are in our 30s, my way of intimacy to sexuality is different. Now, instead of, just taking off your towel and flashing me and I'm ready, now I love when we read a book together. I love when we walk in the garden. I do. Because intimacy is more about trust and safety and connection. Sexuality, I don't have to trust you to have sex with you. Come on now, somebody. That's sexuality. Sexuality is the act. I can have the act without liking you, without liking the way you smell. I can do it without trusting you. I don't trust you with the gown. I took my bag in the bedroom with us, but I don't trust you. However, I love the sex we have. Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
So there's a difference between sexuality and intimacy, and I feel like those are often misconstrued. So let's make sure that we're always keeping a clear conscious decision, and even just verbally when we talk about it, because they can be very different for somebody. And then about fantasies and desires. Once again, all of that change. And I'm talking to y'all as, first of all, y'all all have been married too. And as a married woman, the woman I was when I got married at 25? No, 25. Maybe that's 20 now.
Of course. Right. Yeah.
I had it all. I was more timid. I was more scared. I didn't want to try things. And I know, listen, if I never get asked to preach again, I know it was this podcast right here. But if I can put y'all in my business, I'll put y'all in my bedroom real quick.
Right.
Like now, I'm just so much more self-expressive. I didn't like my body. I was body shy. I didn't want him to look at me. I told my husband to turn off all the lights. Girl, now you can have that off light around me. And because of how he loves me and the confident booster he has given me. And at the time I met my husband and we were first married, that was no child. I had a whole child. I have a whole little rim of stomach at the bottom that my son has left for me. And yet I feel sexier now than I did without a baby. That's what the relationship has done.
But I think it also has to do with the way he's loved you and the way he's accepted you. And he didn't shame you. So in that regard, you kind of got, you had a chance to accept yourself. Because a lot of times, unfortunately, it does happen that certain men are no longer attracted to their women after they've given birth. They have this illusion that this body is to remain exactly the way it is.
Snap back immediately.
Exactly. Or the surgeries that they cannot afford, they're actually pushing you to that direction. Maybe because this is what they see on a day-to-day on, all of those platforms. And so for them, or they're making comparison. Well, how come sister so-and-so is able to snap back and now she got, her six-pack and you're over here still rolling up, and hiding things and stuff. Things of that sort.
You were invited.
Right, exactly. And so, so sometimes it happens like that. So I think that it's just like you mentioned in the intimacy as well. I feel like that plays a big part when, your partner reminds you of your beauty outside of just the physical.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is true, but also we as women have to try to find ways to rely on ourselves too.
Yes.
We have to pick ourselves up, and I think a lot of us do let ourselves go. And it could be because of work, scheduling, stress, just different factors. So now if you have that village, that friend group that's like, no, like, let's do this together. Let's get back on track together, and that's why certain friend circles, it is very important to us to hold each other accountable as well for our partners. You know, like if they truly love you, they will do that.
Right.
You know, and it's very important for us to also check in when it comes to our mental health. You know, to make sure that we're good, we're straight, that we're not overthinking ourselves, because sometimes our husbands aren't even thinking that.
They're not
at all, at all. And we're bringing it on, and we're bringing in that energy into the bedroom, and now everyone is turned off. You know,
pretty much, yeah.
So it's like, how can, as a woman, just like going back to that shyness, that thing, to romance ourselves, romance her.
I know. Yeah. And it's just like you said too, I think that part of it can also be, especially if you either are coming in as a virgin or someone that's never had the opportunity to explore your own body, right? So you don't even know what satisfies you. So you don't even know how to kind of like explain it in the bedroom too. So now it's not always because of how you look, but maybe not knowing what to do to even make sure that you're there 100% pleasing your husband, you know? And so do you feel like maybe that's what it is? Sometimes we just don't know even ourselves enough to be able to, you know, direct and be our husband's GPS in a way of letting them, or even the way we explore their body. We don't even know what to do with it. You know, half the time we figure, all right, I know what you're supposed to do, just go straight in and that's it. But no, there's so much more that can be done before that even gets there. So do you think that it's that particular, the lack of understanding and not knowing? And so with that being said, now do we excuse masturbation? How do you welcome that to certain women that don't know, you know, to what extent should they do it to maybe figure themselves out a little bit more? Like how do you see that, Kayla?
So you said a lot again.
I'm sorry. I dropped them like bombs, okay?
And I love it. I love it. So let's go back to the beginning of that. And you mentioned about mental health. We mentioned about getting ourselves together, right? And sometimes it's not the fact that we don't have a cheerleader. A lot of us have a cheerleader, whether it be our mother, our mother-in-law, whether it be the kid, whether it be our husband, our spouse, whether it be our girlfriends who are like, girl, you think now you look good. But guess what? All of that doesn't matter. None of those words matter if I don't believe it. And it takes a lot of self-reflection. And this is why therapists are a beautiful thing. Let us talk it out. And we are all moms here. Postpartum is real.
Yeah, are you real?
And it's just like you go through this thing in your head where you don't think you're doing well, and maybe you're not doing this, and all these questions, and that bogs down to how we view ourselves. We have to first remove the wool and the problems from our eyes that are blocking us from either seeing ourselves clearly before we think about performance, before we think about ourselves, before we think about masturbation. I have to view and believe that I am worthy of an orgasm. I am worthy to look beautiful. I am worthy to feel sexy. And I remember what I used to do to myself, for myself, is I would walk around the house with really pretty lingerie or something. It was not for my husband. It was for me to get back into it, because I was so worried, and I've said this before, about this stomach. I was so worried about the stretch marks. I was so worried about these new breasts that now, girl, went from a double D to a triple D. Like, I was worried about what they look like and how they didn't stay up anymore. Correct. And all that was a conversation between me, God, devotion, like, Kayla, get back into it. Then we can go into the sex and the bedroom and my partner. And then a lot of people don't understand that by the lack of love that they give themselves, the lack of grace that they give themselves, the lack of patience they give themselves, that spills over into how we love our spouse. That spills over and how to love our partner. And a lot of women are like, well, I have sex with them and even though I'm depressed. Yes, the act is there,
right,
but is the intimacy there? Is the mental there? Is the emotional there? It's not.
No, it's not.
It's not. So then, moving into the thing that you said about knowing your body, knowing yourself, we still have to get through am I allowed to know myself, right? Am I allowed to take the time to see what I really like? Am I allowed to take the time to figure out and explore what makes me reach that peak? What really feels good to me? What we have to get past that. And just in case y'all ask me, I do not have a yes or no for that. And we will have to come with a part 2 so we can explicitly talk about masturbation.
Yeah.
Because I believe it's very loaded.
Yeah.
Very loaded. And I want to give our ladies that are listening scripture. I want to give y'all some scriptures here,
Yeah.
I don't want to just be talking. But for the most part, I believe there's such beauty in self-exploration and knowing what you like, right? We know how we like our chicken cooked. We know how we like our food cooked. We don't like how we like our steak cooked. Why? Because we've tried it. And so we can tell somebody how we like it because we've experienced it before. We've gone through this before, right? I feel the same way with a woman and your private parts, girl. If you can tell them how to order your steak, please tell your man how to please you.
Yes.
Sure, please tell them. It's a part of you. It's very much important, that communication with how you like something. There are too many women. Okay, listen, we about to go to 2024. Ladies, stop faking orgasm.
Mercy.
Stop it.
Who has time for that?
I don't have time for that.
I just want to break the chains over a woman right now who is still oohing and ahhing when she's not feeling the ooh and the ah. Okay?
My
Do
God.
not lie about it.
She's doing herself a disservice.
Girl, a disservice.
I deserve.
You deserve to love and enjoy that sexual moment. And it's not, and I've cringed every time I hear it. Oh, I'm doing it for him. I just want to make him happy. Girl, what about your happiness? We have fought for equality. We are here now. Come on. You deserve to enjoy it. You are not a blow-up doll for his enjoyment.
Oh, my God.
You are here to enjoy it.
It's true, because I know for me, did you come? No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. So round 2, or fingers or tongue, something's going to be.
Let's go.
Right.
Something's going to happen. Something has to be done. She's not satisfied yet.
Exactly.
She
is not there yet. And we will get there.
We will,
because you got it.
and we are not going home. We're not going to sleep. And we're not going to sleep.
I'll make you a snack if you want to.
A little sandwich, a little break.
Right.
Yeah.
And
We'll eat some pizza, some wings. Go right back.
And you already know, us Caribbeans, we got teas for that too. We know how to
needs for that.
fruits and all of that.
Right.
So yeah, we already know what all of this is. So
No,
absolutely.
no, and I love what you said too, because I think bringing fun into the bedroom, icing it up a bit, helps, and asking your partner, like, how can I please you?
Yeah, it's a conversation.
It's a simple thing, and then the conversation during dating on knowing the size, knowing what's gonna happen,
See if it's function.
see if it's functional.
I'm not saying premarital sex. I'm not gonna promote that. To each his own. Because everybody's grown. I'm not here to say nothing. But for me, I'm talking about in context of when you're married, right? So, but prior to, because I asked a question, I asked Hadasha this and a few others at the church one time. I said, so what happened if you get married and on your honeymoon night, you discover that, how can I say it without being rude? That part didn't develop fully. It's still on the baby mode, right? Not to say that they can't use it, because I've heard that it don't even matter. Like, as long as somebody knows how to operate it, they could still do the job, right? But let's just say that there's some dysfunction there, or there's missing parts, to the puzzle.
Dysfunction.
Right. So you're functioning with, sorry, I used to call them baby dicks because they haven't fully grown. So what happens in this case? Like, do you, is it a crown, for divorce? So with that being said, because I'm not here to promote divorce, to anyone, this is why I feel like sometimes you got to brush on whoever you're talking to and see if there's any action, is it rising or is it still dead? And if it's rised up, like,
Is that how far as it goes?
right. Like,
So
I am just saying.
No, we would not do any genitalia shaming.
Oh no, it's not shaming, it's preference. I just want to know.
Okay.
So it's baby dinosaurs. It's like a small round instead of like a big one.
It's timid. Timid ones. They're timid.
It's still like but it's like small. It's like
So once again, you said a lot of things, and I'm gonna try and go back to those, right? So finding out what it's like before, or figuring out if it functions the way that you can agree to. I will say this from experience. I would say this as it in my expertise. You can always learn a new trick. You can always learn something you did not think you would like. You can always experience something you've never had before, and it will blow your everlasting mind.
mercy.
And do not limit yourself because, I'm only used to 8-inch. I'm only used to 7.5. I'm only used to 6s, and you have a 5, so this is not going to work.
Right.
False. That's a myth buster. We to bust that myth, because there are men who might not be so well endowed there, but the tongue game is on
point. Right.
It's on Super Soaker 5000.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's so many other ways he pleases you to where the size is not concerning you anymore. But this should be a conversation, because I feel like too many women, if I could say it's from a female perspective, right? We listen to pop culture, we listen to stuff. We've seen so much media, get my drift. And it's these long things, these big things, and it's like, the longer, the bigger. I want a big one. I want a long one. This
Right.
Yeah, right.
girl, if your cervix got this wide, all the space you have, then I lost. Now probably can't even handle it. It's gonna be fine. Right. It's gonna be good for you. You don't want to be in a situation where you can't even take it, and you can barely get the tip in, and that's about it. That's not him, and it's not pleasing to you.
No.
So here we are, because you wanted big and better. You thought bigger was better, and that's not in the situation. So just shout out to the ladies who
can,
who are also open to so many different things. Because I will say, I used to think like, I need this specific thing. I've had in my past in a situation before, like different things. Just I'm like, what?
Right.
It's not about the little. It's not about the tool. It's about the tool user, the person who has the tool. And I will say that makes a big difference. Even though, once again, this is a very important conversation that should happen.
Yeah.
You should give him your expectations later if you think you want something in particular. And this is why, if we can navigate slightly into toys and tools, I believe that toys and tools can be enhancements. They don't have to be replacers. We don't have to replace him with a robe. We don't have to replace him with a dildo and a vibrator and a silicone and a glass and all these things. We don't have to replace him. It can be enhancements. It could be extra. Think of it as like the sprinkles on top of the ice cream. It can make it better. It does not take away from it.
No, it's so true.
And that could be part of the masturbation conversation.
Yes, definitely.
It's all about toys.
It's all about communication, guys.
Yeah. And, just like how you said, when it comes to certain sizes, certain people can put you in certain positions because they just know.
The position.
It's all about the positioning, and they just know. They know how to flip you. They know how to. They know what they know how to do to make sure that you're good, to make sure that you're comfortable. And we're gonna get into the whole next topic very soon when it comes to masturbation and toys.
Part two.
Yes, definitely that. And we're so excited. And this conversation isn't even done because there's just so much.
Yeah.
So much fun. So much opinion.
Yeah.
And then, you're going to go back and you're going to think, well, and that too, and then we're going to get into the whole difference between love, care, and compassion. The difference of attachment and the difference on I care about what I'm doing with you, and to you. So we can't wait for that as well, especially for Detox Cafe. And hopefully you're here for that. Yes, 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 yes. But we would like to thank everyone who is joining us this evening. Yes, and we'd like to thank our co-host Myrna.
Yes, I'm always happy to be here.
And we'd like to thank our gorgeous pastor / evangelist.
I love y'all too.
Yes, yes. We love you. Thank you so much for joining in. And on the next time that we join in, we're going to have even more fun and get right into it, because that's what detox is all about. Getting to the nitty gritty and the uncomfortable and talking about everything and making sure, well, we can hang with each other. Yeah.
If I can just make a shout out real quick, there is a friend of mine, Pastor Kimberly Bolgen. She has it's called House of Women. It is where us women can talk, us Christian women can talk as candidly, as openly about our sexual experiences, desires, needs, all of that, where we can talk about our traumas, our triggers. We can talk about maybe a sexual experience that's gone wrong, a date that's gone wrong, something even in our marriage that's not happening right, we just need the support of sisterhood. We need that community. House of Women, okay? House of Women. And that's a great ministry. I'm very proud of her. She is doing great things. She has tons of videos and she's a pastor. She has tons of videos where she talks about masturbation and pleasing and what women can do that are also in the church, but also want to get their freak on. Like, there's so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, so we definitely got to get her on too. So,
yeah.
So, okay, well, again, thank you so much. And this is Detoxified Podcast. And until the next time.